Well, hello peeps. So today I want to talk about a rising problem that I'm seeing on the WoW within beta. This is something that we as PvP players have kind of been against, and I think originally Veneruki made a video like a year ago at the beginning of Dragonflight. But as you probably know from the title or the thumbnail, the problem is stacking modifiers. Now, Demon Hunter is gonna be the prime example, but it's not really just a Demon Hunter, it's also like Hunter, Reaver as well. I feel like Marksman has like an additional stacking modifier it really didn't have before, and some other classes have them like via hero specs, specifically Demon Hunter. So this issue is kind of twofold. First of all, whenever damage modifiers are good, it just makes burst very good, right? And that also makes a burst kind of mandatory, and it creates a meta that just relies around cooldowns and around burst and stacking up the damage modifiers so you can do your big one goes and just one-shot the target, right? The other issue is, of course, it then just makes design-wise our specs feel weaker, right? Whenever you don't have the cooldowns, whenever you don't have the stacking modifiers and you can't stack them up properly, it just does not feel good, right? Or your burst cooldowns get disrupted by getting CC'd and whatnot, and it just does not feel good to, you know, do your damage. And especially if you're somebody who's been playing some Cataclysm Classic, then you know that, yeah, it's not like been a norm for us to not do any damage without cooldowns. And to some degree, Blizzard has done a good job at kind of adjusting the classes, having lower cooldowns, relying less on the cooldowns, but I also feel like on the side of stacking modifiers, some of classes and some hero specs have kind of a problem. With Demon Hunter, of course, being the prime example with Aldrachi Reaver. So, what exactly I'm talking about, like, generally speaking, Demon Hunter is a stacking modifier class that has kind of a problem with Essence Break. That's why Essence Break Burst has been always strong, was combined with inertia and whatnot. Now we have Aldrachi Reaver, hero spec, the stacking modifier. You have like a 10% and a 20% damage modification from your Reaver's Glaive when your abilities are enhanced by the Reaver's Glaive. Then you have another Reaver's Mark when you do your Chaos Strike, you apply it, right? If you're doing the Chaos Strike second, it applies a bigger one, doubles up the damage modification. I just want to talk about Incisive Blade just because I think this is a little bit too much as far as being like a base modification thing. I think things are fine. They're gonna, you know, they're kind of modifying a build, or how do you say, a hero talent to be kind of used with certain builds. That's, I think, fine, but I think 30% is also way too much. It basically makes Chaos Strike hit harder with Aldrachi Reaver than with like Annihilations with the other one with Felskard, right? The real problem really arose when they changed Thrill of the Fight. This used to be like one ability deals more damage after you consume it, right? And you have an increased attack speed. But now it's a 30% damage modification for 10 seconds. So 30% damage modification here and another 30% damage modification here, totaling up to 60% damage modification. I don't think there's a single class it has a cooldown higher than 20%, right? The damage modification, right? So this to me is a little bit nutty. Definitely, maybe, you know, tuning wise it will get better. Maybe this gets like a little bit tuned down. This gets like to 20%, 15%, right? Doesn't matter, but I feel like still you have 30% here, you have another 30% here, you have another 30% here, you have another 10 or 20% here, right? You're kind of starting to see the issue, I think, now. Now combine all of that with kind of the existing momentum, right? Essence Break, and you get like, what, 20%, sorry, like more like 150, what would be 156% damage modification on your like Annihilations and your Chaos Strike. That's a little bit nuts if you do not, right? Like, little bit nuts if you can get it, but then if you can't get it, it's gonna feel how much underwhelming, by literally hundreds of percent underwhelming, right? Now, additionally, it's gonna feel really bad if you actually want to switch targets, because like your optimal is gonna be Reaver's Glaive into, you know, Blade Dance, applying Reaver's Mark at 30% on your target, then going into the Hunt, because then Hunt allows you to cast Reaver's Glaive, then going into like another combination with the Reaver's Glaive, right? And, you know, while proccing the 30% damage of the Thrill of the Fight, right? Having all the modifications on. Yeah, you literally can't swap target, and like that combo begins like, how would you say, you know, 3 globals before you actually start bursting. Like, so the moment people have the Reaver's Mark on them, they're like, oh, you're bursting me, okay. CC the Demon Hunter. Yeah, Demon Hunter pops the Hunt, okay. CC the Demon Hunter right after that. It's gonna feel really, I think, awkward in PvP. Now, as I've said as well, this is not just an issue for Demon Hunter. I feel like this is an issue on some other specs as well. not as big, like no other, like there's no other, I think, example as big as this. And again, I'm not really like critiquing these kinds of talents where it's like, oh, you deal 15% more with the diseases and what is it, like death coils on the Death Knight. You do 15% damage more with mortal strikes on like Colossus. Like I feel like that those things are fine. Why is this 30%? It just feels like it's gonna be like an extreme difference in pressing Chaos Strike when you're playing Aldrachi Reaver versus when you're playing Felskard. But peeps, before I let you get on with the video, I do have to inform you that only 4.3% of you are subscribed. So if you've been enjoying the content, please consider smashing that subscribe button. Also hit the notification bell if you want to be notified of the latest videos. So yes, with so much damage modification, I just feel like it's gonna feel very bad when you can't get your uptime and get your Art of the Glaive, or sorry, Reaver's Glaive right up and cast it out, because yeah, you're not gonna have a 30% damage modifier on your target and you're not gonna have a 30% damage modification on yourself. So that's 60%, man. That's too much. Definitely needs tuning, and yeah, definitely needs tuning. Like even if this is like 10% and this is like, let's say 20%, that's still 30% damage modification, higher than any other thing cooldown in the game, right? Again, so yeah, basically my fear is like you're just gonna feel underwhelming when you're not playing Aldrachi Reaver. Your burst is gonna feel inferior by 60%. All right, you're just gonna feel inferior playing this, even if, let's say, Felskar has a really good DPS or a DPS that kind of matches it. The burst potential of you having 60% damage modification and then 90% damage modification simply from the hero talents on your, like, one of your main abilities, right, is gonna be, I think, a big difference. And as I said before as well, like, this is not just a problem for Demon Hunter. I feel like other classes have these issues as well. Especially, like, I feel like on Warrior really is unnecessary to have like that 10% damage modification on both Colossus and Slayer. I feel like, yeah, they can just prune that out and just increase the damage of the Spec by 10%, and that's gonna feel, right, I think, a lot better than, you know, you're still gonna be bursty on your cooldowns, right, but you just do 10% more damage all the time. You're gonna feel a lot better to play all the time, right? But I'm really interested in what you peeps think, so comment down below on your thoughts. For me, I think this is an issue simply in PvP. Like, I don't know, in PvE, players probably feel a lot differently towards this. It's definitely not as big of an issue to do big bursts, right, in PvE, right? And doesn't, like, yeah, some classes are bursty, some classes are less bursty, so it definitely feels like a flavor thing in PvE. But in PvP, right, having 60 damage modification on one and then not having that on the other feels like it's gonna be a problem when it comes to burst specifically. So I hope you've enjoyed this little video. Like, comment, subscribe, all those things YouTubers want you to do, and have a nice day.